Welcome back to the second part of the Trial and Error podcast for today, Monday, June 3rd. Holy fuck, it's June.
It is June.
What the fuck?
The nice thing about June 3rd, though, is that you can find our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, or the Trial and Error podcast.com website.
That's true. You can find it on June 4th pretty much any day.
Yeah,
of the week.
any day, actually, you can find it, which is
That's kind of,
awesome.
you know, one interesting thing is that's like how websites work. They're there all the time.
That?
They're just always there. You can just go to them.
You need device and service, though. That's the tricky part.
It's really
Otherwise, they don't, really physically exist.
It's true. So as promised, we are going to get into Scientology. This whole conversation started with...
We're going to talk about it. We're not going to,
okay.
get into it,
I figure this is more of a Dan thing than a Connor thing. But
I don't know.
Somehow we got from Girl Scouts, and are they part of Scientology?
I personally don't think so. I don't think there's... But that's the thing. Scientology is such like a deceptive religion, if you want to call it that I could completely see them brainwashing Girl Scouts into doing their bidding, but I don't think that the Girl Scouts knowingly participate in funding Scientology.
I mean, obviously not knowingly.
Yeah. Dude, Scientology's nuts, though.
It is insane.
Like, and for me, like, any religion kind of has its weird things. Scientology definitely more than others, but like, there's some big red flags there. Like when your religion started in the 50s by like a sci-fi writer who's writing about like aliens being your gods and all this shit, like that's a pretty big red flag right there for me anyways. But
yeah.
Like that wouldn't even be so bad. Like I love watching alien stuff and I believe in aliens, and I think they potentially could have had some influence on the earth and maybe still do. I don't know, but it's at least a possibility. The problem with Scientology is they're like a fucking criminal organization. They're like the mob, dude.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
did you ever watch that documentary that
I did. The HBO one?
King of Queens girl did, Leah Remini?
Yeah, that was the HBO documentary, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's insane. I think maybe in a way it started as a way for wealthy celebrities to avoid certain taxes, kind of by classifying it as a religion. And in turn, I think it's become something much bigger and a bit more sinister. When something is big and people look a lot into it, there's certain rumors and things that go around.
Yeah.
But and you take those things with a grain of salt most of the time. I don't know if that's the case, like with them. It's these things have happened through history, these organizations, and
right, but we normally call them cults,
Absolutely.
Like who's that fucking guy in Oregon?
Oh, I don't.
I think it was in Oregon. They like took over a town and everything. Like that shit was crazy, and like there was obviously a financial aspect to that where they were like avoiding taxes and
weren't
doing all
they
this shit.
Weren't they in a standoff with like the military or the police for a few days?
I think with them there might have been like an all-out battle, possibly. I think are you thinking about all those white guys, like 5 years ago?
Was it?
Because they weren't a cult, but they took over
that was
a government
militia.
building.
That was a militia.
That was a militia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait, I want to get back into aliens because,
yeah, man, let's do it,
dude. Let's go. This is a rabbit hole, and we're gonna go down it.
Yeah.
I watched this video recently, and I guess in the 80s there was this school, or there is this school in I think Zimbabwe, and these kids, there's like 30 kids who all reported seeing a spacecraft land on the field of the school.
Shit.
And two beings got out. And
Is this like out in the country?
I mean, it's Zimbabwe, so I don't think it was in the city.
Okay.
But these beings got out and they didn't say anything, but all these kids reported getting the same message that we're not taking care of the earth well enough and we need to, and if we don't change things, that the earth will go away and we'll lose all our air.
Ooh.
And they
They threatened the air.
They didn't threaten it.
That's crazy.
They didn't threaten it. They said if we don't take care of the earth, we'll lose our air.
Yeah, they're not saying they're going to do it, but that's a crazy threat, dude. Like, yeah,
it's not, but see, a threat
change
implies
your
they're
act
going to
here,
do it. Right, it's a
you're
warning.
not going to have any air.
It's a warning.
Imagine the air being sucked out of your lungs right now.
Okay. But
that's what's going to happen, dude, one of these days.
It's going to happen slowly.
It's just going to turn off.
No, it's going to happen slowly.
I think it's just going to turn off. If aliens are involved, it's just going to turn off.
But see, you're misconstruing it. It's not aliens saying we're going to shut your air off. It's saying you're going to
I don't think anybody knows that either way.
My point is...
Your point?
My point is that these kids all saw this, or they claim they saw it, but a lot of people have brought up this point of... like, what is it called? Community or group delusion, which is a thing where a lot of people, like, pack mentality is a thing. And apparently that can apply to delusion as well.
Sure.
So a lot of people think it was something like that.
Well, and that's the problem is, like, if you were an alien and you're, like, smart enough to travel to Earth and, like, communicate without talking and doing all this shit, why would you go find a group of school kids out in the middle of Zimbabwe to communicate that message?
Right, exactly.
There's a flaw in that plan.
I think, look, I believe in aliens too, 100%. Yeah. And it's based off simple math.
I've met some for sure.
And I'm speaking as somebody who took geometry twice.
Damn, dude, you must be extra good at it.
Dude, I'm good, Duke. I'm good at geometry, Duke.
All right, Daisy.
But you think about it, and it's like we're one planet in what we see as an infinite universe, and you're going to tell me like there's nothing else out there? I think each possibility is equally as scary. Either we're completely alone in this foreseeable infinite universe, or we're not.
Well, yeah, and you got to factor in time too. Like, I mean, we've kind of determined now that in order to sustain life as we know it, you need these certain things, and that can only happen if you're a certain distance away from the sun, and blah blah blah. And so, like millions or billions or whatever years ago, like they thought it was possible that life was on Mars because it's like within that threshold, of like possibility for life. And so, when you think about it, our solar system technically could have two planets with completely different civilizations that were both originated on those planets. And then that same thing could be applied in any other solar system, however many planets are within that threshold. But like the time is the big thing. And it takes so fucking long to travel from one place in the universe to another, at least like with our technology, that...
Right. So the whole idea is like, you think like there's obviously other intelligent beings out there, but time is such a huge factor that maybe they don't all exist right now.
Or, and that's another thing is like maybe, let's say a spaceship arrives here right now. They just traveled through a wormhole. They know how to do all that. They're going maybe even faster than the speed of light if that's possible. But they get here. They control in some way like the population on Earth and what we do. They give us these warnings or whatever. Maybe they even give us a consequence in the future. But let's say that we somehow find out exactly where they are and send something to that planet. The time it would take for our craft to get to that planet, their civilization could have been wiped out.
Right.
Even after controlling our fucking planet for so long. It's crazy how time works.
Well, you're talking about aliens coming here and controlling this planet. What I think is the most realistic thing is like, have you heard of you've seen these uncontacted tribes in the Amazon and on these islands, right? So in the same way that we treat them, there's an island, I think off the coast of, Africa, or I can't remember where, but there's an uncontacted tribe there, and the government has made it a law that no one can go within like 20 miles of that island. But every year they fly over a couple times just to check on them and make sure everything's okay. I think aliens would treat us the same way. I don't think it would necessarily be the kind of thing where they're going to come here and impose their will. Like they're going to do their, they're probably, if I would believe if they are that intelligent, they're just observing and going and looking at what's going on Earth. I don't think they're necessarily going to come here and say, hey, like we're the almighty beings. We're going to come take over.
No, but I think also like humans are like so impressionable that like if you think about like a variety of religious figures from different religions throughout time, like those could have been aliens in human form who came down and like did something. It's not a solid argument because this shit happened so long ago and stories get changed a little bit when they're translated, and it could just be all symbolic. Like we don't know, but let's say Jesus was actually an alien, you know? And again, he's not coming down here and saying, or he's not coming down here and like shooting beams out of his hands and stuff and like killing bad guys and stuff like that. He's coming down and he's saying, yo, this is how you need to live.
Right.
A friendly reminder from God's son.
Do you think that'll happen again in our lifetime?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But the whole thing about observation too is like, yeah, like the most credible UFO things I've heard of are all kind of more observation things. Like I just saw this documentary about some ex-Navy people who were on like 4 separate boats, but they were all responding to like a similar thing on their radar, and they went and like it was just a structure. It was 5 structures that were moving at like a constant speed, blah, blah, blah. And then they would drop altitude. They would drop 28,000 feet of altitude in less than a second. And that's, I mean, physically, we can't do that with anything. Yeah. But if there would, like, even if we could, if you put a human in that structure, the G-force would just, like, rip them apart.
It's impossible as far as we know.
Right. And so it's been verified by, you know, many different people on these 4 boats. And, like, there was a structure underneath the water, and these smaller structures were able to go underwater and stuff. There was no acceleration or deceleration rate. They could go different speeds, like they could match the speeds of the fighter jets that they sent up there, but if it was at point A, it would get to point B in exactly the amount of time it wanted to. It didn't have to speed up and then slow down, you know?
So to me, that's observational, and it's like you think if we as humans were able to use that technology and found another planet and wanted to observe, we would do the exact same thing. Right. I think we would do as much as possible to avoid disrupting life on that space.
Would we though?
I don't know. You and I can agree on that.
In our own planet, we do a lot to disrupt space.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. It depends on
whoever makes that first find. I think that's what it all comes down to. Like,
that's a very good point.
Whatever their intentions are, because a lot of people, if they found another like habitable planet that had similar elements and shit like that, they would just use it for mining.
That's a very good point.
And like, think about the colonial nature of humans.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
I think maybe the reason we can't travel through space like that is because we don't deserve it yet. Maybe the universe knows that we would just fuck everything up.
It's very possible. I mean, it takes, you know.
They gave us a little sample. They're like, here, we'll give you this little ball. It's like 14,000 miles around. Whatever. Have fun. Do what you do. But they were watching us and they're observing us and they're like, yeah, these guys don't need the real big technology just yet.
Do you think someone has to give it to us or do we have to figure it out?
I mean, I think both. I think we have to figure it out, but one of the arguments for like ancient aliens is there's certain points in time where all of a sudden some person just realizes something crazy. Mm-hmm. Just out of nowhere, all of a sudden there's this new understanding, a new concept, and then from that comes like super progressive technology. You know? And so
you think that's like beamed to somebody, like they don't just come up with it willingly. It's kind of,
I don't know how it actually happens. Maybe maybe you get beamed up and they talk to you, or maybe like,
or they just place the idea in your head.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be any number of things that we understand and probably even more things that we don't understand. But
I think a big part of it is like what our focuses are as a society, or I guess more like politically. It's very clear that a lot of what goes on in the Middle East is of, there's an interest there. It's not to stop an enemy. It's to go where the oil is. And we're still at an age where everything we rely on is from this earth. It's like, it's a resource that is literally, you're taking
crazy.
it from the earth.
And the fucked up thing about that is like, we're at a point now where we can pretty accurately evaluate all of the Earth's resources, and there's way more than enough. That's the crazy thing. For everybody to be able to utilize a variety of resources, there's way more than enough. Like food, for example. The Earth produces about 3 times as much food a year as it needs to feed every single person.
But not everyone gets it.
Right.
Yeah.
Most food that is produced is either not harvested or thrown out because it's bad or it expires or whatever the thing is.
Well, and it's not equal distribution either.
No, but that's the thing is we have all these resources to not only, if you're talking about food, have the resource of food, but we also have enough resources to be able to distribute everything evenly. But when you start talking about that, you're talking about a global government, which
you're talking about like a united
scary.
global economy. And that's not how it works.
No, I mean, it's getting there. At a certain point,
I don't know.
At a certain point, it's probably going to be the United States, China, Russia, and maybe like a coalition of the Europeans. But we're all going to have the top economies in the world. We're going to get to a point where there's a fucking insane world war. And it's about the control of a global government. It's about saying, this is the way things work on Earth.
I think with that whole coalition you're talking, or not the European coalition, but you have to look at countries like India that are massive, huge population,
Right.
and produce a lot of the products that these more powerful countries use.
Right.
So inherently, they have a lot of power.
They do, but if you broke it down into the type of thing where countries were at war and you kind of had to be more self-sustaining, or...
So military presence is part of the comparison.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the whole like imperial nature of all the big governments. Like every big ruling class in the world in history has had very strong military. And so India does have a military, and
it's not. I think
they're
it's like number 6.
Either way, I think they have nuclear weapons or are very close to it.
No,
but the thing is,
India. Aaron, are you able to look that up? Cool.
Yeah, India isn't taking care of a lot of their population. So while they might have, I think they have like 1/6 of the world's population. It's like over 1 billion.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people, like, it's not like you have a majority of them in the middle class where they're able to stimulate the economy. Their kids are able to be educated. You're also able to have people who go off to the military and do all these other types of jobs. Like, that's not what they have. It's kind of polar opposites a lot of the time. So, like, you look at a city like Mumbai, they have one of the biggest airports in the world. And, like, it was a crazy project.
The biggest airport in the world is in Atlanta.
That's what's up.
5 runways that run consecutively. Like they run in unit, like, so you can have 5 planes landing and taking off at the same time in Atlanta. I think after that is Dubai.
You know, I don't know if that's true. When did you hear that information?
Recently.
Because I know that...
I'll try and find my source, but I know Atlanta... Hold on, I'm going to look it up right now. Biggest airport in the world. I think it's Atlanta.
Dude, I think it might be somewhere in China or like the South Pacific. Because I watch a lot of documentaries on planes and airport infrastructure. And it's kind of hard.
Hatfield, Atlanta International. After that,
that's crazy.
Beijing, then Dubai, then Los Angeles.
But what is that in terms of like volume? Like number of passengers?
By passenger number.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might make sense because there's definitely major airports that have more than 5 runways.
Yeah, but
Like I think Dallas Fort Worth has like 8.
But the runway. See, runways have to be their specific classifications. They have to be a certain size.
Right. For
To be
certain
usable.
planes.
Yeah. So like maybe that one in Dallas isn't fit for, the A380 or whatever.
Yeah, man.
But like Atlanta can land whatever, whenever, 5 in a row, or 5 at the same time. It's nuts.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Dude, yeah, I've been watching a lot of. I found this channel that essentially it's like these pilots who just put GoPros in the cockpit, and it'll be like a 20-minute video of them doing an approach or takeoff from a certain city, and it's all in 4K, and it's just like, it's very slow and soothing, but it's also so interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely watch that, man. I love trains, planes, and automobiles and boats.
Yeah,
Love boats.
you just love everything that moves.
Yeah, I like those. I mean, boats, trains, planes, and cars are kind of like the first big like pieces of technology that we had in this era. You know,
I think boats.
boats are fucking ancient. You know, like yeah, it used to be manpower that,
Yeah.
but like motorized boats and like things like the Titanic, big ass like pleasure cruisers.
The Titanic
whatever.
didn't work out so well
No, and I actually watched a documentary last night about why that's the case, dude.
because of an iceberg.
Yeah, but like with a lot of the modern technology, you could
got
still
fucking
you could
clocked by an
recreate
iceberg.
that exact situation and the boat would not sink.
Yeah, I mean, they're better at building boats now.
They
That's
fucked
kinda-
up the hull design. They fucked up the different compartments where like it's an old technology. Like you get a hole in one part of the hull, and that compartment fills up with water, but it separates the water from the rest of the hull so that you don't sink. But for whatever fucking reason, these weren't watertight compartments, which kind of defeats the whole purpose.
Weren't these compartments below water?
Yeah,
What the
partially.
fuck?
I mean, like they're from like the bottom of the boat. They're probably like 20 feet high, 40 feet
Yeah.
high, something like that. But whether or not they're underwater, like that's the thing is if you get a hole in one, it fills up, and that's it. That's all the damage that the hole can do.
You have a black smudge on your nose right now that's really bothering me. I mean, your whole face is bothering me, but mostly that.
That's pretty rude, dude. Is it gone?
I can't tell. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, boat design is crazy, man. I watched, it was about like the trifecta of boat flaws. It's fires, capsizing, and collisions.
Those all sound like things that could obviously take down a boat.
Yeah, but that's the thing is there are things that are going to fucking happen from time to time, so you have to design better boats to make sure it doesn't happen.
What's the best boat?
Probably whatever the newest cruise ship is.
Dude, some of the new cruise ships are fucking nuts.
But can you believe that like some of them are like 1,200 feet long,
Yeah.
22, 24 stories, whatever.
Yeah, it's
And
insane.
they're not built with like any flammable materials.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Everything that you think is wood is not wood.
Also, that a bunch of fucking shitty kids can go run around and not appreciate the engineering that
Man.
went into it.
Yeah, I hate it when people don't appreciate the engineering. But
Who
like,
the fuck on a cruise ship goes on? Like, I know there's those dedicated people that go onto a cruise ship to like enjoy the engineering and enjoy the architecture of it. Most of those people are there to fucking like. It's a cheap vacation for them, and they don't give a fuck.
bro, I went on a cruise and we were sat at this table with this couple, and it was their 24th cruise.
Wow.
Like that's what they do. I think they go on like 4 or 5 cruises a year now. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's a good way to like. It's a good vacation, man.
I read about this
Horrible
guy.
for the environment. Though.
I read about this guy who's
Really
like a
sucks.
international. He does some kind of investment, and he lives on a cruise ship, and he's lived on a cruise ship for like 10 years, and he does that so that he can avoid certain taxes for his clients. But this guy works like 3 hours a day, probably brings in like 20 grand a day, and just lives the rest of his life on a cruise ship.
Dude, yeah. I mean, you think about it. You get to go to a different place every day. You're on a boat, which is cool. There's bars everywhere. There's restaurants everywhere. A lot of that stuff is included free. And, I mean, for a guy like him, it doesn't really matter. But you can buy some nice cologne while you're on there, you know?
I feel like a cruise ship is just like a giant duty-free store.
I mean, it smells like that for sure.
Fuck that.
It's fun, man. I don't know what your beef is with cruise ships. I really don't.
It's not so much beef. It's more beef with you.
Could you explain?
It's just your face, honestly.
What's wrong with my face?
You got to get a haircut.
A little jealousy. Do I?
No, I'm not fucking jealous. Look at me. Look at you.
Yeah, I am looking.
Yeah?
That's the problem.
Bet you like it.
That shirt.
Did you? No. Fuck my shirt. Did you buy that shirt because it's the same color as your eyes?
It's not.
It is. It's exactly the same.
It's not.
It is 100% the same color.
I don't have green eyes. And this is not interesting to anybody who can't look into
look
my
green
beautiful
right now.
blue eyes.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
You look like fucking a shitty version of Hitler's wet dream right now.
I'll take that as a compliment, I
No.
think. Yeah.
No. You've got like a weird bald spot on the left, on that side of your head.
That's the
side of
right.
your
That's
head.
the right
Yeah.
side of my head,
It's my
Connor.
left.
Yeah. Anything else?
I just like, honestly, like your hair looked better when you were 18. I think you need to cut it back down to.
You're saying I was hotter when I was a young boy? Is that what you're saying?
Just saying you had a lot more going for you.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know. Like, it doesn't hurt to like.
I got nice shoulders.
It doesn't
man.
hurt to take a trimmer sometimes and like set it to a certain setting and run it across your face. Because right now you got like 4 different lengths going.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Here's what I will do. Just because it's making you so uncomfortable. Brush it out
Thank
a little
you.
bit.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you put oil, like beard oil?
I do.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't fucking do it for this shit.
For
Not
what?
for you.
Not for me?
Yeah.
Who do you do it for?
I do it for the gram. You know.
When was the last time you posted a picture on it? You're on Instagram right now and you didn't do it.
Exactly.
You said you didn't do it though.
Nah, I didn't. I think this is jealousy. Like, we're having a good conversation about the fight with aliens and like weird shit. We were having a nice conversation. I feel like we were becoming better friends. And then all of a sudden you just like changed on me. You
I don't
flipped
know.
On me.
I got another White Claw in me.
I think it's because you can't build a fire. I think that's what the real problem is, and your manhood has come to question. And so now you're looking at me, a nice bearded man, hell of a man. Like, if you look at my body, it just screams man, you know?
You look like
And my face.
You look like a broke-ass lumberjack. You look like a lumberjack who hasn't been hired in 2 weeks.
You look like a used car salesman who goes door to door.
Why the fuck would a car salesman go
Works
door
at
to door?
Staples on the side,
No, I don't.
stocking desk chairs, printer paper.
That's not what I look like. I'm wearing, like, I love how, like, your first thing to go to is, like, that shirt or that hat. I'm wearing a white shirt from the Gap, like a basic white shirt, and that's the
You
first
still
thing
shop
you go
at Baby Gap?
to. Bro, normal adults shop at the Gap. That's a
Man, I
normal-ass
remember
place.
when we were
fucking
almost
fuck you and your-
full-bodied
your
humans.
Fucking Fred Meyer shirt.
we were almost.
Your Fred Meyer.
This is J.C. Penney, bro.
You've been wearing that shit for 6 years,
J.C.
dude.
Penney, R.I.P.
You've grown in and out of that so many times. You
I've
can
had this
see it
for
in the
about
shirt.
4 years, I think. I look good now too, don't I?
No.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you look all right. You're about a 4 out of 10 right now, but I'm telling you what, you could be a 9 out of 10. And
Ooh.
it's possible.
Tell me how, baby.
You just have to put in some effort. Go to
Yeah.
a fucking barber shop. Go to any clothing store and get some clothes.
Here's the real problem, though, Connor. You put in the effort, and I've seen that it doesn't pay off. So you're just wasting money at this point.
Bro, everything I'm wearing right now, I bought for 40% off at the Gap, and I look 100 times
You
better
can't
than
bargain shop better
Look,
than I can.
Listen, if
can.
you and I both broke down on the side of the street right
I'd
now,
be able to make a fire and keep myself warm.
no, what I'm saying, and people are driving past to help, I would be up and running by the time anyone stopped for you, because I look presentable.
Not
And
if I let my hair down, took my shirt off. Oh, That's a man.
Why don't you do that right now?
Because you don't deserve it.
Okay, I don't care. I don't want that.
Actually,
I kinda
everything
do. I wanna
about
see
the
that.
past couple minutes of this conversation has told me that you just want me to get naked and show you everything I have. So you can rip it apart in this crazy, like, anxious jealousy.
Is that what you think?
Yeah. I think that's what's going on. Man,
Look, man.
You don't have my broad frame, dude.
I just want you
that's
to take care
unfortunate.
of yourself. Stop looking like a Red Dead NPC and get some fucking real clothes.
Hey, mister.
Yeah, no.
I wish things were different,
I bet you do wish things were different for you.
but it weren't us who changed. Boy.
See, she feels sorry for you. She's like, you need some help right now.
No, that's the thing. Dogs like me because dog is man's best friend.
Dogs love me too, bro.
Okay? No, they don't. She just came up to me and licked me and gave me a little kiss.
Because you need it.
No,
Dogs can sense it.
she loves me, man.
I mean, I love you too. That's why I'm
Remember
telling
that time
you
you
this.
scared a dog into the bush and it wouldn't come out for 2 hours because you're a fucking dick? Remember that?
What dog are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Miss Rodham Clinton, Hillary. You chased her into the bush, man. You like sprayed some water at her or some shit. Like you
What
were
the
a
fuck are
fucking
you
asshole,
talking about?
man.
See, here you are.
You abuse
You're-
animals.
you're at a
you
point
abuse
of-
animals.
you're
what,
to a point
What
of-
happened to Frankie Muniz?
Bro, you're
What happened to Frankie Muniz?
Bro, you're at a point of desperation now where
He died
you're
because you
starting to make some
farted
shit.
in his tank.
I farted in his tank. First off, he was a hamster. It was a
Oh, yeah, that was
terrarium. Get the fuck out of here with
Hey,
his
my bad,
tank.
my
And I
bad.
farted in it.
My
Get the
bad.
fuck out of here.
Killed
Stop you grasping at straws, you country ass, like poor ass looking motherfucker. You look like I'm surprised you're going back to an apartment in Sandpoint.
Talk about Frankie though.
Fuck you. You look like you're living on the fucking base of Crystal Mountain. The fuck out of here.
That doesn't sound too bad.
With that being said, thank you for tuning into this week's Trial and Error podcast. It's all love. Sometimes you just got to talk shit.
my ears are bleeding right now. But if you would also like your ears to bleed, you can check us out on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, or trialanderrorpodcast.com.
All right.
Thank you so much, and I guess we'll do this again next week.
I guess so.
All right.
Cheers.